All right, hey guys, welcome to the studio today. We have Legacy Tribe family, Hanna Bederson. Hanna, last time we caught up, we were in Temecula, California at Bedros Killian's ranch, Black Site Ranch. So, what's been going on since then?
It has been such a full year. And what I have realized, Mike, is the more you say no to what does not fit in your life, and the more you say yes to what does, amazing things begin to happen. So many things have been happening in this last year. As you know, I'm in the real estate space. As you know, I'm also an educator. And much of that learning has just come out from my personal experience of being an entrepreneur, building a business, different challenges along the way. But so far, 2024 has been an exceptional year.
It's been great for me too. Not without its curveballs, but overall, I feel pretty blessed. And I know that you do too. We always have a good conversation. When we first met at BK Live, we instantly connected. As I mentioned off camera, that, I immediately connected with you and Bryce Henson of the Legacy fam. And, we always have good conversations. So I was happy to connect with you again at Black Site Ranch and share what we both got going on. So I was so happy and grateful that you agreed to come on the Inner Circle on air and share with my audience what you've got going on.
Well, and thank you for welcoming me to this stage, especially when we're doing virtual. It's really exciting to bring together where I'm located in San Diego, California, and where you're located to really empower the audience to live a life that's worth living. That's really the bottom line of what my experience has been.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's so worth it. And I think, like I said, just connecting with the folks through Legacy Tribe, that's taking everybody's taking each other to the next level. It's inspiring each other, sharing experiences through entrepreneurship and business, making connections, and living a meaningful life. I love the push in our Legacy Tribe collective on social media, where everyone's doing I was not able to participate in this competition, but everyone's doing the 5-minute plank challenge right now, which I love. And I think it's great. I was experiencing some pain in my elbows. So I have to train my abs differently right now. So I can't rest on my elbows to plank. But I'm enjoying watching everyone do it. And I know Lyman Good, he's a part of our network too. And he recently was experiencing some arm issues. He had his arm in a sling and he had to get some medical clearance so he could participate. So I know none of us are exempt from our challenges. So
Well, and for those of you who don't know what Legacy Tribe is, I'm actually just a member of Legacy Tribe because I've realized how important personal development and having the right connections is. So that's Bedros Keuilian, Jay Redman, Bryce Henson created this community where we can all come together, network, we're able to really connect as high achievers and push our life and business forward. So that's the base of Legacy Tribe. And we'll also talk about it a little bit, Mike, that the way that I run my life is to always be challenging myself to do something that's difficult. And I know you do the same thing. So it's challenging yourself, do something difficult to get out of your comfort zone. So the honest truth is that I am working out. It's actually the same as Bryce Henson, 360 out of 365 days.
yeah.
Whether that's doing a plank challenge where we have to do 5 minutes of planks and work out a day, whether that's 75 hard, which I've run many times. And what I found is that becomes the catalyst to achieve more in business when you're systematizing things like your workout and getting up early, and then it allows you to just live this more abundant and bright life.
Oh, I agree. Nothing feels better than when you're running your body like a well-oiled machine. For me, I had started making wellness changes to my life prior to starting my business, which really laid the groundwork inadvertently. to kind of go through some of the hurdles that you face as an entrepreneur, because that really, I started disciplining myself, probably 3 years before I ended up actually starting my business. So, and I had started putting myself through challenges, 90-day challenges. I want to say I might have started out with 20-day or 30-day challenges at the very beginning, just to see if I could do that, where it would be something like, what would I set for myself? Like just mind stuff, like no coffee, or make sure I go for a walk every day for 20 days straight, or go to the gym consecutively for 30 days straight. And I was able to do all those. And then once I achieved that, I would just push it to 90. And then other things I would push to, through 90. And then some things it was determined that I could just eliminate from my life, period, that weren't serving me best, So that was good for me. And everything was mental fitness and health and fitness related. So it was just, I was able to really achieve my goals, and take my body to the next level, just focusing on my own personal wellness and tailoring things for me, for what worked best for me. I would sometimes overdo it. I remember I was, using the P90X. Do you remember the P90X workout from back in the day? So I was doing that, and that is like a military grade workout. And so I'm not the type of person that would think to press pause on that and stop. I would just keep going and going and going. Well, you have to give yourself a little bit of grace while you're working out that intensely. So I realized, okay, I can't do everything in this. So let me press pause and tailor it to what I can do. And then I'll revisit as my endurance builds. So that taught me just how to customize my life. I think that, you're kind of in the same boat where it's like, you want to train, you want to take yourself to the next level. And with that being said, you need to customize, things to your lifestyle.
Well, and would it be okay if I give the audience a couple ideas on how to get started with either a new fitness routine or a new wake up routine? Can I give them a quick tip in
Absolutely.
that regards?
Yeah.
Because what I've built is a 5-step framework. And one of those pieces of the framework that I actively teach this, is your ability to master your habits. Now, for the women who are listening, you instantly think of master as this controlling term, right? Master of the household, master of my domain. But the real idea of master is to say, okay, I'm going to build out this framework for how I go about my habits, my systematic habits. So master is just the framework. So here's the tip. Think of one thing you can eliminate today that's not serving you. So for example, we have become an alcohol-free home. Myself, my husband, my family, alcohol-free. And that has freed up the bandwidth to do so many more amazing things. So what you do is you say, okay, today I choose not to take that drink of alcohol or a smoke of a cigarette or smoke of substances. I choose to put that to the side and replace it with an extra workout. Replace
I
it
love
with
that.
one thing that's going to benefit me. And everything in my life I weigh in this regards. Is this going to benefit me 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line? Is it going to matter? And as you begin to just go a day at a time, amazing things begin to happen. So it's really our ability to dictate to ourselves what our habits are. And that's when no one else is looking, right?
I
Because
love that.
if
Yeah.
you can bring authenticity to who you are in public and who you are behind the scenes and marry those things together, that's when amazing things begin to happen in your life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I also abstained from drinking. So like that was one of the big ones, especially just as I was starting up my business. I completely eliminated alcohol, social media. I just wanted to see if I could eliminate social media because it seemed so I seemed so attached to it at the time. So I love when I got myself addicted to something, I'm like, let me just see if I can break that with a 90-day, I just pump the brakes on that. And I do it every time. It's amazing. But alcohol was very freeing because I realized, that was more of a social thing for me. That once I kind of cut that away and disconnected, I was like, I don't drink. So that was pretty eye opening for me. That I could cut that out, and that took my fitness to the next level. Because really, just even moderate drinking would set me back. Just having casual networking drinks. A lot of times, you're networking with different business networks, and everybody wants to have cocktails. Well, I had found myself calling ahead where I knew the restaurant bartenders, and I would say, just serve me water, but I'm going to order vodka water, just so people would leave me alone, because everybody always wanted you to drink at those events. And it was almost like, peer pressure, but we're adults. So it just became annoying to me. So, and then I, just kind of tapered off from those networks altogether, because I never understood why anybody would need somebody else to drink for them to have a good time or feel okay. Because I don't have a problem networking with people while they're having a cocktail, but as long as you don't have a problem with me not having a cocktail, So that was just me setting boundaries for myself. But I used to, I think, accommodate people by making them feel comfortable by either ordering a beer and then dumping it out in the sink and just holding it, so they, didn't feel the need to pressure me to get a drink. But I don't even do that anymore.
Well, and what's interesting about that, Mike, is this goes to another point that I've developed a framework to really begin to work towards my ideal life and help others do the same, which is accountability is key. Accountability is key. One of the things since 2017 that I've really focused on is upgrading my network, so that in the rooms that I'm in, so, rooms like Legacy Tribe, these different rooms, and even community that I myself am building, we don't even have a need for alcohol.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's so if you're drinking alcohol in those rooms, you're going to be considered not different, but you're going to be considered a person that's standing out. And what often happens when we begin to get accountability from people who are a level up from us, right? So it's 3 types of friendships: someone who's a level up, someone who's at your level, and then you have other friends that's okay to socialize with. But when you begin to raise your standards, it raises the entire room, where the entire room, that one person who may be drinking at that particular event, I've had it happen where they just simply say, I was so inspired by what all of you were doing that I've stopped drinking. So it's an elevating of the room. It's an elevating of consciousness in the circles that you're in to raise everyone up. Because if we keep our knowledge to ourselves, nothing is going to benefit this world, right? Because we're here for this time, this place, a certain reason. And so it's important, just like you've said, Mike, that in everything we do, we are elevating those around us.
Absolutely. And I truly believe that leaders make leaders. And I've always been fortunate and blessed to have amazing mentors in my life. And throughout the course of my 27 years in the mental health field, a lot of those mentors have since passed away. I've experienced loss through cancer, I'm sure, which we'll touch on. Folks have retired, and then sometimes you just fall out of touch with folks. And I'm constantly always looking to build my network with amazing people that are going to help take me to the next level, and that I can offer something to in return. I love reciprocity, and I think that's what ultimately led me to self-development outside of the mentors that I once had in my life on a regular basis. I found my way to different influencers through YouTube, like Bedros Keuilian, Tom Bilyeu, Bryce, Jay Redmond, all these guys, and women too within the network. There's many authors and influencers that I found my way to via social media. I think that social media doesn't always have to be a toxic place. I think that a lot of good things can happen from networking on social media, sharing good experiences and how to take each other to the next level, like what we're doing right now with the podcast. Hopefully we reach one or two people, at a minimum, that might find some of the stories and experiences you're going to be sharing on this episode. Hopefully they find value in that and can share it with others.
Well, and I heard something really interesting. If you can touch one person's life, if you can make a difference for that single person, you can make a difference in thousands of people's lives, in tens of thousands. And then we extend to, one of my personal missions, which is to touch the lives of 1 million people to discover their own story of hope. Because as people discover their own story of hope, it's what one of my mentors, his name is Dan Fleischman, refers to as the butterfly effect. So basically, your ability to spread your wings and then create this ripple effect across your community. And it just, with so much chaos going on in the world today, it's refreshing to sit down on a podcast like this where, Mike, you're already making an impact, not only through the great conversations that you're having, but sharing your story. And I'm very grateful for that. So this comes back to our ability to extend out with that butterfly effect and touch many, many lives along the way.
I love that. And I also love Dan Fleischman. So I know last year I went to the Aspire tour. Dan Fleischman puts that on with Andrew Cordell and Eddie Wilson. And they had amazing speakers. David Goggins was there, Marcus Lemonis, Tim Story, Kendra Scott, I believe is her name. Just amazing speakers. And I know that you were not at the Aspire tour in Houston that I was at, but you were at the Aspire tour Elevator Nights, Women on Stage, which is amazing. I was so pumped to see you on social media at that event. You looked amazing. It looked like you had a great time. You were a leading woman in business at that event, and I thought it was so cool. That was amazing. And Dan, just to give the audience some context, we have Dan in common, not only via the Aspire tour, but he's co-owner of Black Site Ranch with Bedros Keuilian, who is our guy, via Legacy Tribe.
Well, so you're exactly right. Elevator Nights is the event that happens before the Aspire tour. And to speak on the same stage as Lisa Bilyeu, to speak on the same stage as some very powerful women in business. One woman, her name is Adley, and she has reached 1 billion people with her marketing strategies, which just lights up so many industries because she stepped into this beautiful space. And it was so exciting to be featured on that stage because we're not only talking about elevating other women, we're talking about elevating people around us. We're talking about the importance of building wealth yourself as a woman. We're talking about strong relationships. We're talking about bringing value to the marketplace. And it's always such a blessing to be a featured woman. There are 30 women on that stage, with Tim Grover in the audience, with Tom Bilyeu in the audience, with Trav in the audience, watching and just soaking in and saying, okay, what can I learn from each one of these women? And for the audience, then it's the ability to walk away with one memorable thing to say, okay, I can make a small change in my life today to accelerate to the next level. Thank you. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you to everyone on that panel. That's really what the mission of things like Elevator Night are.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I have to say, Wow, Lisa Bilyeu, because she's one of the channels on YouTube that I watch. Well, obviously, the guy that kicked it all off for me when I started my business, when I found my way to YouTube early on, it was Tom Bilyeu. So every influencer that I found my way to was via impact theory. So he is such an amazing um, public figure mentor for people that he's not even in the presence of. You're just connecting with him via his YouTube channel, and his wife, I think, is amazing, and they've done so many great things. I connected with so much of what Tom shares about leadership, and he's had everybody on his show. Everybody that I found my way to, Dave Asprey, Bedros, all these great public figure public mentors. Tom's had them all on his show. And so, what an honor for you to be able to talk on stage, in the presence of his wife and, him in the audience. That's so exciting.
Well, and not only that, really what this is about is not comparing ourselves to others, but
Sure.
also realizing if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So, what I've really learned to do, because I'm an outspoken woman, I have outspoken views, I have a message to deliver, all these things. But in a room of this caliber, I very much learned, Mike, and I noticed that you do the same, to really temper what I'm saying. So, in other words, I talk less and I listen more.
Hmm.
I listen because what can I learn from Tim Grover? What can I learn from Lisa Bilyeu? And what's fascinating is so many women think that being a micro influencer is not possible, or being able to take care of a family and work and all these things is not possible. But I'd argue that's a fixed mindset versus what Carol Dweck refers to as a growth mindset. And once we begin to say, this is not about comparing myself to Lisa Bilyeu, this is about learning from her. What can I learn from her that's going to raise the bar for me? And then how can I incorporate that? And how can I lift up the next person?
I love that. I agree. I've never caught myself into the trap of comparing myself to others. It doesn't resonate for me. And like you said, um, I like to observe and listen from people. I don't like, you don't want to be in a room where you're the smartest person in the room. That never happens to me because I'm always surrounding myself with great leaders. And so I want to learn from them, and I want to be able to offer, you know, some reciprocity in that. And I think just listening and not finding yourself in competition with others will take you farther than competing in comparison.
You're exactly right. And there's so much growth. The personal development space is now reaching billions of dollars. And that's because people are hungry for growth. They're hungry to say, I've gone through these trials and tribulations. How can I rise above? That's what drew you to seek out people to watch on YouTube, to seek out those high performers. And I'll just add one thing to this conversation, Mike, which is, in addition to us pulling away from comparison, and this is another piece of the framework that I personally teach, which is expect results. Expect results. What that means is so many times we're shooting for nothing and we wonder why we're not achieving those results. Sometimes we are frozen, we're not making progress. And I love the interview you did with Steve Ancho, because he talked exactly about this, that each of us needs to be able to get just a little progress in our lives, a little progress. And I equate it to being on the right road. So, for example, you are 100% on the right road, whether you realize it or not. You work, you've are building this mental health program, and you have this amazing business, and now it's your opportunity to step onto the stage in October. You personally, it's building that podcast and knowing that most people quit after their 7th episode. You're already past that. You have your systems. Everything is beginning to work. And then it's just a matter of giving that time. Time is the great equalizer, and saying, I'm going to just build in the consistency to my day on the right path, and the results are going to come.
Absolutely. Consistency is key. And it did. It took me, just as on my personal and professional development path. That's where I found all my results, was being consistent. And that meant, getting away from bad habits. It just, and really focusing on myself, removing myself from my network completely. So I could completely audit myself, see what worked for me in my life and what did not, tailor it, to my own personal plan, and then put results into action. Bring my consistency into results that I could see. So that started with fitness, and then all of a sudden mental clarity. It just, it's definitely empowering, and then it's addicting. You want more. You want more mental clarity. You want more wisdom. You want more discernment. You want more aesthetic benefits from, the time you're putting into building your body into a well-oiled machine. Felt good. It still feels good. It never gets old.
Well, you're exactly right. And so there's two components to that. One is, okay, we continue the personal development, we continue our growth, we're on the right path. But one of the things that I found in my life is, okay, what happens when all of a sudden an unexpected roadblock shows up out of the blue?
Yeah.
And I know that you and I have talked about some of this. So my husband, I was actually married when I was 19. He was 20. So 19 and 20 years old, we took this leap into being married, and my husband was in the Navy. So here we go. We're starting this career. We're traveling the world. We're having all sorts of fun being married. And along we go on this path. And in 2017, my husband retired, 21 years of Navy service.
Amazing.
And what's fascinating right around that time is about when I jumped into both entrepreneurship. Well, it was earlier than that, but entrepreneurship. And I thought real estate was indeed the answer. So I come out of the corporate world, done many, many positive things in raising 2 children who are now practically adults, being a Navy spouse, going through all these things. And that personal development, I didn't realize was going to become a crucial part of what was about to happen next. Because in 2019, we were camping in the desert. My husband got the worst headache he'd ever had. And that first scan showed a massive brain tumor. And not only was it brain tumor, it was cancer. And what's interesting, cancer in this world has become very taboo, because so often you hear, my aunt had cancer and now she survived, or my cousin had cancer and unfortunately he's passed. But with brain tumors, we're sitting in that hospital bed a day after Thanksgiving, and they inform us, I'm sorry, sir, I'm sorry, ma'am, you have less than a few months to live.
Wow.
And in that moment, it's, oh, shoot, because I was working, I'm on the right path, we're on the right path. He started his next career. We're excited. We've just invested in our next property. So we're building, and then we're slammed with this massive tragedy. And my back was up against the wall. I had tears coming down my face because I thought at that moment that I was going to lose everything, right? His income was gone.
Mm-hmm.
My income, because I was just working that 9 to 5 plus, was going to be slowing down. Within 3 weeks, by the way, Mike, within 3 weeks, he was no longer able to walk, could
Wow.
barely speak, couldn't get out of bed, and we were days away from hospice coming in. This is December 2019.
Wow.
So this is a huge turning point, I think, for anyone going through something tragic and serious, and that can be life-threatening, or it could be a divorce, it could be loss of a company, it could be loss of a child. So you're in that moment of just extreme fear and extreme panic, right? Because when hospice is called in most cases, you have just weeks.
Yeah.
And in my husband's case, this would have been the crushing pressure of the tumor. What happens is it shuts off your breathing. That's how tragic this is. So what I learned is everything comes back to how we respond to fear. Because I was having chest pain myself. I was having
Oh, I
chest
bet.
pain, anxiety attacks, the stress of just all these things at once. So I stood back and said, the serenity prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, what's interesting is, and we'll touch on this again, is I'm part of several high-profile networks.
Mhm.
And basically I said, wait a minute. This is not his time to pass away. This is not his time. And all I knew how to do was to let that fear drive me towards that next step, which was, okay, let me tap into my network. So I put it out on one of the calls that we do, and I said, we need help. We need help. Does anybody have anything that can be done for these brain tumors? Anything's going to help. And it was because of Bedros Keuilian's network, by the way. Bedros, Dan, Sharon Srivatsa, who's in the real estate space, that a colleague up in Laguna Beach picked up the phone and gave me a call and said, Hanna, there's a doctor here. You may want to talk to him. And sure enough, within 3 weeks, we got my husband in for a revolutionary surgery. And by the way, they used virtual reality and augmented reality to
Wow.
go deep inside his brain. And we can unpack this for the audience really quickly as well. But virtual reality, augmented reality, to go deep inside his brain, and they were able to collapse that tumor on top of itself. And in that
Amazing.
process of collapsing, what happens is think of cancer as a moldy orange. You want to get that out of your system as quickly as possible. So what the doctor did was he shrunk that down. He shrunk that down, leaving just the rind of a rotted, moldy orange in my husband's brain. By the way, Mike, it took him 8 weeks to be able to walk again, 8 weeks to
Wow.
be able to talk again. And here we are, we're January 2020. This is when COVID is beginning.
Yeah.
But by the grace of God, and out of 60 days, we were in the hospital 45 days during this period in 2020. By the grace of God, he was able to walk again, talk again, think again. And now my husband is at year 4.5 with a brain tumor that is cancer. He is the doctor's longest living patient. That tells you how devastating this type of cancer is.
Yeah.
And just this last week, we lost another dear friend to the same type of cancer.
Sorry to
But
hear that.
here he is at year 4.5. Now, great news is the scans show no visible cancer cells by the grace of God. So that's good.
Yeah.
But yet, what we have learned through this process is you have to keep going. You have to keep going. You have to be diligent. And I'll talk about some of the things that have really brought life back to my husband. But this really started with my ability to step back and say, okay, what do I have control over? can I allow that fear to drive me towards what's next? So basically, I describe this as being fearless and focused, where I recognize fear in my own life as the lion at the door. So this is a lion baring his teeth who's at your door, and he is ready to destroy. He's ready to destroy you. And this could be divorce, this could be anything that you're facing in your life, an addiction, any of those things are ready and at the door to destroy you. And you have to say, no, today I am not going to be destroyed. I am going to come out stronger on the other side, no matter what happens. So you're 4.5. And I'll also throw in one other thing, that this month, which is August 2024, we're celebrating our 27th anniversary. And
Wow.
not only that, Mike, I don't know if I shared that one of the things that has been revolutionary in our relationship is things like date night. We have not missed date night
Yeah.
in over 18 months. And that's basically, okay, trying a new restaurant, going out and going bowling, doing something fun, because even my husband is saying, Hannah, life is short. Life is short. We
Hmm.
only have today. What can we do to maximize that? And this is something that I share with others, is when you are feeling off track, can you step back, pause, reassess, readjust, and say, okay, this fear is very real. How can I direct this towards something positive that's going to make a difference in my life?
I love everything you said. That's just such a miraculous story. And I think, it really speaks to his resilience, your husband's resilience, but yours too, because that love and that bond that you guys share together, like that's powerful. That's powerful. Not only that, but then the network that you spoke about that helped bring those doctors into the mix. And then just the power of prayer in itself too. I think it's so important. And again, when I first met you, you were so open to share that struggle and that journey. And Bedros actually talked a little bit about it on stage, when I first met him in person as well. And you have an amazing support network, as does Neil. And you guys are so blessed to have each other. And I think that it's amazing that you have not taken anything for granted since then. You've only taken everything to the next level, personally, professionally, and in your marriage. I think it's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. And you know what's interesting is life is all about learning. So you're taking these things, you're learning, you're saying, okay, how can I not repeat failures in the past? How can I elevate my life? And this really comes down to, this life is one day at a time. It's just taking
Yeah.
that one day at a time and asking yourself, am I on the right path? Yes or no? If I'm on the right path, I'm going to keep going, push through that fire to come out stronger on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I found my way into just health and wellness just became such a priority for me. As I started my business, I experienced many curveballs, many setbacks, as everybody does. You just don't see coming. And then with the stress that came with some of those curveballs, that I just didn't plan for, didn't see coming. I didn't by any means think that starting a business was going to be easy. I did not. I knew that there would be curveballs and things that would come my way. Um, I was able to withstand everything, but it was not, sometimes it was at the expense of myself, and mismanagement of stress that brought on, different health issues for me that led me to, you really have got to be on top of your game in every capacity, to take yourself to the next level. You have got to train like a warrior every day, to make sure that you are in tip top condition physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of it. It all ties in for me. For me, it did anyway. I'm only speaking on behalf of myself. And that's really where I realized, like, I control everything about me. I'm in control of all of those things. If I want to feel sick, lazy, and tired, I can make that happen. But if I want to feel on top of my game and like I'm going to the next level every single day, I can make that happen too. So it's just about choices and making that decision. And for me, I think that's what we have in common. It was, focusing in on all the key pieces I just mentioned, spiritual wellness, mental wellness, physical wellness, self-improvement.
I think you're right, because what I'd like to offer the audience is we are a holistic person. So this comes down to health, wealth, relationships, self-care. And what I have really learned is, can I do one thing each day to care for myself? So for me, that has become, okay, can I take a walk today? Can I get up early? But it could be different for everyone, right? And now, because I work out, that workout actually becomes such a powerful release of energy. Can I do something for myself each and every day? And then can I do something for my relationship each and every day? One out of every two marriages ends in divorce. Or what happens is people that are married for, let's say, 20, 30 years, there might be something that pulls them apart. Well, how can you bring your relationship back into alignment? So each day, I think about those two things. Who can I serve in business?
Mm-hmm.
How can I strengthen my relationship? How can I strengthen myself? Because we cannot pour from an empty cup. So if we are sick, if we are physically exhausted, if we are just at the end, the brink of destruction within our own lives, how can we effectively deliver anything to the clients? We can't. So that's number one, is each and every day, do something for yourself, do something for your relationship, do something to push your business forward. Who can I serve today? So that's the first part. And then the second we touched on when we were talking just prior to the podcast, which was the second is, how can I be proactive in my health? And I was just talking with a gentleman who lost a dear friend who didn't even know she had cancer, because she had not identified the pain that she was feeling in her shoulders and kind of in her chest area was actually cancer. And then what happened was they found it too late.
Oh, that's awful.
And so when we've touched on this, so what is the solution? Well, number one, have now become a firm believer, and I would love for you to also talk about this, Mike, in cancer screenings. So, for example, we're now eligible for our the test for colon cancer.
Yeah, colorectal. Yeah.
Yep. So we've done that, and it's an uncomfortable, miserable test. But you go in, you have that done, and now you're clear for the next 5 years.
You have peace of mind.
And you have peace of mind. And then it's for women. Women need to be cognizant of any pain that's unusual that they're feeling in their body, because many times that could be something that's very, very serious. May I just share another story real quick?
Absolutely, of course.
So I have a dear friend from high school. Her husband has a brain tumor, and he's also outliving expectations. So that's wonderful. She has just been diagnosed with cancer herself. So he's fighting cancer, she's fighting cancer. And it is by their faith that they're getting through. But she shared that fortunately she went in for her well woman check and they found the cancer. So they found it early enough to be able to intervene before it really is making a bigger impact, because these cancers move incredibly fast. They're incredibly common. And I used to think that you would only get cancer if you were a smoker, or if you drank too much, or if you were exposed to what chemicals. But the honest truth is, this goes back to health and wellness because of the external exposures. It is absolutely critical that we say, what can we control? We can control going to the doctor every single year for that checkup. We
Mhm.
can control being our own advocate. We can control, hey, something's not right in my body. I'm going to get it checked out. I'm going to do a full body cancer screening. I'm going to do these tests in advance. And then I'm going to be able to adjust. So I'll share one other interesting story, which is low bone density runs in my family. My mom is in her 70s. She has osteoporosis. She's actually broken a hip. So I went in and had my bone density checked. And sure enough, it was at the levels that are just a little bit low. Would you believe, Mike? Oh my gosh. So that was 2022 that I had my bone density checked. It's a little bit low. I said, oh, shoot, what can I do? And in 2022, I began to do everything with a weight vest. So I run and walk and exercise with it's a 12-pound vest.
Cool.
And I'm also lifting, I work with a trainer, so I'm lifting more weight on the bench press and whatnot. So I said, okay, I'm going to continue to lift and run and walk and do all these things. The doctor just did my bone density test, and he says your scale just whew. I was able to raise my spinal bone density and my hip bone density over a year and a half period, just simply by committing to the workouts. And that's, I admire you for that as well, that you stick with those workouts, because those workouts and just doing small adjustments over time makes a huge difference.
Well, I appreciate that, and congratulations on your journey as well. I mean, that's something that was a lifestyle commitment to me, and it's just part of my everyday. I think, just like you said, you have your plan of action for the day. My plan of action is to walk. I get up. I keep crazy hours, so I do this because it works for me. It's just me and my dogs, so I start my day at 2 a.m. and that's when I get going for my workout. But the first thing I do is walk out the front door, and usually I see the moon, boom, and then I give my thanks and my gratitude, and I start out with that, and then I make my way. Either I have a gym in my garage, um, and either I'll work out in there. Sometimes I go to the gym at 2 in the morning. That's open 24 hours, and then I kind of just get my day going from there, and then. I go into the business day with, prior to going into the business day, I do a little stretching, maybe play a little jujitsu with my grappling dummy in the garage. And then I'll usually watch something inspiring on YouTube, or, read a couple pages out of a book or listen to an audiobook before I get going into the day, and that's just part of my practice. It's just baked right in. Fitness is baked right into the day. So, I think I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing for yourself, and it speaks to you have a good glow about you, and you can tell you feel good, you sound good. Everything is lining up for you. It's an alignment for you.
When I love what you were saying about the morning routine, would it be okay if I just share a tip with your audience when it comes to morning routine?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, funny story. Back in 2017, I was having trouble getting up in the morning. And I had spoken to a colleague in the real estate space. I said, man, I'm really struggling with this morning routine. And she says, well, Hannah, have you heard of the 5 a.m. club?
Hmm.
And I said, what is the 5 a.m. club? So Sharon Srivatsa, he's a dear friend. He's a mentor. He actually built a real estate business from 340 million to 3.4 billion.
Wow.
This was Telus Properties that then was sold. And what he discovered in his process was I'm having trouble waking up in the morning. So he created the 5 a.m. club. The 5 a.m. club is a 5-minute call broadcast every single morning at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time live. And Sharon began to host this 5 a.m. club. So that first morning, it was a Wednesday morning back in 2017, I put on my headphones for the first time and listened to that 5-minute call in the morning. Two things happened to me, Mike, at that moment. Number one, I realized I had a problem getting up in the morning. That was number one. And number two, I realized that I was missing community in my
Yeah.
life.
Right.
And those first words from Sharon's mouth was singularity of focus, singularity of focus. And so I listened that next day and I wrote on my vision board, I said, host the 5 a.m. club, because they opened the microphone up for other people to host the call live. Hosted that first call, 2017. And then I wrote host again. And Sharon said, hey, I'd like to have you come back and host again. Then he said to me, well, Hanna, would you be interested in hosting on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 5 a.m. your time, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time? I had never been up early on the weekends ever. And I said, okay, I'm going to give this a try. So what I discovered through hosting that first weekend was my brain, it wakes up your brain, just like you were talking about doing that morning meditation. So I began to just deliver a couple topics that really spoke to me. And Sharon's like, Hanna, you're really good. Would you like to continue to host? That was 2017. We're now in 2024. I have hosted every single weekend since 2017. And I'll take maybe one weekend off a year, which I just took off, let somebody else host. But we run this call 7 days a week. And what it's allowed me to do is put on my headphones. Everyone else puts on their headphones as well, and they listen in. Give that one message. Okay, singularity of focus. Boom, off we go. But then what happens, Mike, is when I take my headphones off, I have no choice but to be awake.
Right. Yeah.
It wakes up your mind. It wakes up your spirit. And anyone who would like more information, you can just reach out to me on social at Hanna Bederson on any platform, and I'll get you plugged into the 5 a.m. club for free. But what's exciting about that is it built this consistency. It built consistency in my life to say I'm responsible to show up 5 a.m. on the weekends. And now, oh, by the way, can I jump into my deep work first thing? Can I do my workout first thing? And what's really fascinating, and once again, I'll go back to the episode you did with Steve Ancho, which he talks about that importance of being able to really focus. Well, focus only comes when your mind is awake and you sit down at your desk and you do that really, really challenging thing. So what I'd offer to the audience is this is not about waking up at 2 a.m. or 5 a.m., but this is simply about what do you do with the time that you're given, and how can you structure the morning time to be more exceptional, so that you're not so rushed, you're not reactive, you're proactive. And I'd like to add just one other thing if I could, which is I also keep my phone off in the morning.
Smart.
I'm not checking notifications first thing. Yes, I know that the phone is our lifeline, right? Our phone is our lifeline to business and all these things. But the longer in the morning that I can keep my phone put away, the more powerful my day becomes. And then, it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, my family's getting up, we're getting breakfast. The dog, we have a German Shepherd, she's just going bananas. But I've already taken that time to really step back, reflect, go through the process, accomplish something towards my business, and just then it sets my day up for success because I took the time to invest in my morning to make that one decision on the right path. And that's what really set me for a day that's worth living.
I love that. I love that that works for you. And I love that you pointed out the fact that it's not about necessarily what time you get up, getting up at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., whatever it is. It's whatever works for you, but whatever allows you the time to give yourself some peace and some grace for the day. My business is 24-hour in-home care. So I'm on call 24 hours a day. And, I have a great team, but, once the day has at you, you got to be off and running. And so for me, I do go to bed. People think I go to bed late and get up at 2 a.m. I don't. I go to bed around 6:30 or 7 p.m. because that works for me. I have a well-balanced day. And like I said, I start at 2 a.m. because that's what time I wake up. I've been waking up like that without an alarm clock. I just get up. I'm excited to get up at 2 a.m. because the morning is yours. Like, I own the morning, especially if I get on the road. I like driving in my Jeep and the road is open. I don't have to fight traffic. I don't have to do any of that stuff. So it's just a beautiful thing at 2 a.m. and all the world is asleep. Well, where I'm at anyway. So everyone's asleep. So all the energy is mine. So it feels that way anyway. And so that's when I can, focus on myself, and I'll do a little journaling. I'll get a pen and paper out. I have a notebook, and you know, write down what I'm grateful for, things like that, and my intentions too. Like, if I have a list, I write down my intentions for the day, for myself, that have nothing to do with anybody else. Because I've been guilty over the years of putting myself on the back burner for my business and my employees and things like that. And, when you have a lot of weight on your shoulders and a team that's counting on you, you tend to sometimes do that. But you get better as the years go by with management and prioritizing yourself, because, like you said, you can't give from an empty cup. So you have to pour back into yourself, and that's what my mornings mean to me.
You're exactly right. And would it be okay if I just talk about real estate for a few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because all this ties back into real estate. So myself, I've been a licensed real estate professional since 2015. I've worked on different teams, different brokerages throughout my real estate journey. And one misconception about real estate agents, professionals, investors is that, yay, now I'm free to just set whatever schedule I want. I have freedom. I'm going to be making so much money. I'm going to help people buy, sell, invest. I'm going to invest in my own properties. But the bottom line is, the real estate space is under extreme pressure right now. One of those extreme pressure points are lawsuits that have pushed them the way through, and settlements that have come as a result. So what's happened in the real estate space is there's this feeling of chaos, this feeling of pressure, this feeling of stress and tension. And what I really offer any real estate professional listening today is that it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. So it does. Yes, it starts with your morning routine. Yes, it starts with the connections that you have in your family, which is your brokerage. And I love the fact that my dear friend Sharon Srivatsa is CEO of Real Broker, which is a company that I've chosen to be aligned with because they have a culture of excellence. So yes, it's about your morning. It's about having the healthy associations, no matter what brokerage or what model. That's irrelevant, but just choosing a model and going all in on the model that you're in. And then from there, what I'd offer is the importance of stepping into your work. Just like you said, Mike, you hit the nail on the head. Each morning, starting with the intention and saying, my responsibility today is to touch someone else's life in the real estate space from a place of positivity. How can I help them achieve their real estate goals? How can I guide and direct that person in their real estate journey? How can I better equip my team? How can I do something positive in my business today? And the agents and brokers who are making a difference have figured out those three things: that number one, your mornings matter. Number two, go all in on your brokerage model or where you're established, go all in on that. And number three is, it's very, very important and crucial to be working each day in your business. And number four, what I would offer from just a wealth perspective is then your ability to purchase your own home, purchase investment properties, invest in projects like Black Site Ranch. I'm an investor in Black Site Ranch.
I love that for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, and or to be investing in things like apartment syndicates. So there's so many possibilities for wealth, but you have to be able to step out of your own way, which comes back to your morning routine. It
Mhm.
comes back to the model that you choose. Go all in on your model. And then number 3 is go all in on that deep work for your business. Number 4 is move towards this place where you're building wealth, where you're not struggling from transaction to transaction, where you have built something sustainable and now you're making an impact. And then number 5 is you're working towards your ideal life. That that's really the bottom line. So for me, the ideal life goes way beyond the business plan. An ideal life is, how do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? What do I value? And then you're allowing money to be the driver towards getting you there. And I really want to compliment you, Mike, because you've done this in your own life where you're saying, okay, I've built these businesses. How can I just now take my business to the next level?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that I do that by networking with good folks like yourself. And I've always been connected to I'm not a realtor, but I do own some real estate. I have 4 houses here in Michigan. I think I need to sell one and get a place in Chino Hills out by you guys so I can come visit. But I think I've always been connected with good folks in real estate. I have so many good friends that have not only been mentors, to me in business, because a lot of the realtors I know, they're just, a jack of all trades and just masters of themselves. And they just know how to take it to the next level. And I think that there is an art to really taking yourself and your brokerage to the next level. And it's always good to be in the presence of someone that knows the art of good salesmanship, and mentorship. That's a really unique blend, and I think that that's something that you have. It comes through very authentically, and so I appreciate that about you.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been such a powerful discussion because we have unpacked so many things. And I love your leadership to really direct the conversation to say, okay, how can we take one step down the right path today? How can we master our habits? How can we expect results? How can we have accountability? And these are some things that I teach on a regular basis
Yeah,
because they are so powerful. And then how am I reacting to fear? Am I allowing fear not to crush me, but to drive me towards being focused on what matters? And then learning from the failures along the way, because there's so much that we learn just by being a human.
oh yeah,
And for me, that comes down to learning from where I've been and now realizing, okay, how can I adjust and not repeat those past mistakes? How can I make it something even better for the future?
absolutely. Yes, very wise words. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you taking the time to join me on my podcast today. And I wanted to share another link. I had, as I mentioned, Sumit Ray from Cancer Check Labs on a StreamYard. That's going to be soon released. And I want to share that link again. It's cancerchecklabs.com. And I wanted to, give you an opportunity also to share any links that you may have already mentioned some, which we'll put up. But if you want to share again where folks can find you or any links you want to share.
That's amazing. So I'll make sure to send links, but it's really my name, Hanna, Hanna,
Got it.
Bederson, Bederson.com, and then Hanna Bederson on all platforms. And if you shoot me a follow and message me on IG, message me podcast, because I would love to, Mike, just send everyone in the audience today my guide to resilience. So that breaks down the 5 steps that you can take each and every day that are going to make that impact, that small impact today, that's going to make a big impact tomorrow. 100% free. Happy to send that to anyone who messages podcast on IG, because this world is really, as we mentioned, about our ability to strengthen ourselves, lift others up, learn from others, and ultimately get to this place where there's a lot more peace. I feel so much peace and joy and blessing in my life because I surround myself with good people, because
Absolutely.
I take care of myself and my relationships, because I take care of my service to others each and every day. And that's really what this life is about.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show today, and I definitely hope to have you back for another great episode. And we're going to be seeing each other soon here in Arizona.
We are, yes, looking forward to an exciting event in September. One other thing that I'll mention is I have written my first book. It's already with the publisher, and it's in final edits right now. And it tells the story of the cancer journey because
Wow.
there are so many things that you don't think about under the surface. So it lays out, yes, some frameworks that are going to help the reader just understand and see their own selves through my book. But what my publisher said, she said, Hannah, we need to get this book out now because the timing is
Yeah.
so critical because there's so much turmoil in the world. So the release date is spring 2025, if not sooner. But I would love to come back once I start that book tour. Would you be open to having me back sometime early 2025 or late 2024 to share more about the book?
Of course, absolutely. And I will definitely be purchasing some copies. I always purchase a copy of a good book for myself and to gift to others. So,
Yeah.
of course, you can count on that.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. And I want to give you a shout out because what you're doing on Inner Circle podcast is just bringing top notch value, top notch guests. And I'm so thankful to be a part of this production today and just for having me.
Well, I appreciate that. I can't wait to have you back, and I can't wait to connect in person because in person's my favorite.
I think
But
you're absolutely right.
yeah, but StreamYard will do for now. And so,
StreamYard will do.
yes, and you are welcome back anytime. And maybe one of these days I can get you out here to Michigan to the studio. So that would be fun too, you and your husband.
Well, yes. And so I will actually be back in Michigan. I believe it may be September, October, walking a massive development project, not in Michigan. We're actually going to be down in a state close there, walking a massive development project that a couple of good friends of mine are building out there. But bottom line is, yes, there's so much opportunity, both in the
Yeah.
real estate space. There's so much opportunity just to continue to connect in person. And I'm so thankful that you had me on the program today.
Yes, you are an inspiring human, and I love humans empowering humans. So thank you so much for joining me on the show today. And I look forward to seeing you in September.
Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's show. That's a wrap.